In early 2024, a Geelong player with a history of concussion entered into an agreement with the club that would allow him to keep playing. The contract contained a contentious clause that would waive any potential legal claims against the club arising from any future head injuries. It was private until last week when it hit the headlines.
Good evening. A secret concussion deal that stretches all the way to the top of the AFL.
With revelations, it brokered a deal with a player, absolving the club of any liability.
So what do you think of a proposal like that to a young person or a young player?
I mean, basically it's callous. By doing this, you are then playing Russian roulette with their brain and saying to them, well, you know what, it's your problem.
A few days after the news broke and under immense pressure, Geelong Cats defender Jake Kolodjasny revealed himself as the player at the centre of it and issued this statement. I participated fully in the AFL's independent concussion panel process, respected its independence and was comfortable with the outcome. I've continued playing AFL football since. What disappoints me most is that my private medical information has been made public.
I get why he's probably put himself in that situation because he's desperate to play and you just don't know what it's going to be like in 20 years' time.
Jake Kolodjasny. By 2024, Jake Kolodjasny was a premiership-winning player with more than 150 AFL games to his name, but along the way had suffered a number of head knocks. His brother Cade was forced to medically retire from the AFL in 2020 due to head trauma caused by concussions. Before the 2024 season, an AFL concussion panel assessment had placed Jake Kolodjasny in an amber category.
What they've said to this player is, yes, we think you've got a brain injury, but we don't know how bad it is. Well, that's a fail. It's a complete fail of the system.
Player agent and now concussion advocate Peter Jess is highly critical of the AFL panel's ruling.
You either have a brain trauma or else you don't. And the role of the AFL, the AFLPA and the club is to protect that player and mitigate it. Now, having red, orange, yellow, green is a complete fantasy. I mean, I'll use a technical term here, it's bullshit.
At the time, club officials, including medical staff, the CEO, Steve Hocking, and then President Craig Drummond, were involved in drafting the agreement, which was negotiated directly with the player, his family, and an insurance advisor. Geelong's coach says he has been kept at arm's length to the deal.
Even if I was prepared to say more, I just wouldn't be able to give you anywhere near a clearer picture as the people that actually were involved in this stuff or are involved in it.
The concussion agreement was separate to the 2-year playing contract Kolodjasny signed and was made without the AFL Players Association's knowledge.
Clearly this was a contract that wasn't within the laws of the AFL. Somebody signed off on it.
Yeah. Were you looking at that person?
Okay, so you signed off on it?
Yes, absolutely, and I take responsibility for the fact that we didn't lodge it with the AFL and the PA.
At a press conference last week, Cats CEO Steve Hocking acknowledged the clause went too far, but wouldn't be drawn on its specifics.
Quite clearly there's a process misstep there, so we need to work through that with our board and our executive and make sure that that's tightened up from where it's been.
By this point, the story had engulfed the game, forcing AFL CEO Andrew Dillon onto the airwaves.
The fact that there was a waiver there, it doesn't take away from the obligations that the club has under occupational health and safety and the obligations that the club has as an employer. And so they're the right. So regardless of what the waiver said or didn't say, Jake was playing with those protections.
But isn't that more to the point? Like, why was the waiver there then?
And they're the questions that we'll be asking and why the document wasn't lodged.
If both parties, the player and the club, have agreed to these terms, what is the issue here?
It's about honesty and integrity. If there is no problem with it, then why don't you disclose it to the AFL? Why don't you disclose it to the AFLPA?
The AFL has now launched an investigation, but complicating matters is the fact Craig Drummond is now the chairman of the AFL. He has since recused himself from the investigation. Is that enough?
Oh, what a surprise. I mean, it's a bit after the event. I actually created this mess, and so what I'll do, I'll parachute myself out of it. No, sorry. You're up to your neck in it. You are absolutely cooked, right? If you had a fork, he's done.
The AFL has written to Geelong asking for a please explain. Since the story broke, the club has removed the waiver and late today responded to the AFL.
Clearly there's some parts that will bug it up as a club and we can do better, but I still think there's a bit to unpack yet.
This scandal has again put the spotlight on how AFL clubs manage the risk of concussion and future brain injuries, and former players weighed in on whether they would have signed such an agreement.
In the throes of my AFL career, 26-year-old version of me would have said, yep, no worries, whatever it takes. But knowing what I know now, having a family, all those sort of things, absolutely not. We've got to look after the players.
No, I wouldn't sign nothing. Wouldn't sign any of that stuff, only because I knew I was going to have issues.
Matthew Robbins retired from football in 2007. He lives with severe brain damage from his almost 150 games at the top level with the Bulldogs and Geelong.
Short-term memory loss, I'm dealing with that. I've got headaches that happen regularly. Get sensitivity towards sunlight. Can be a bit snappy. I've had probably on 8 to 10 knocks throughout my career. A couple of times, I'd come back on, but back then it was a different time.
This is a report on Matthew Robbins. Our report, very sadly, these reveal the most severe signs of brain injury we have seen in scanning in over 100 individuals.
Peter Jess is his agent and advocate.
Each one of these parts of his brain has been damaged.
I didn't come into this game with brain damage, and I've walked out with brain damage. So that's, and how long till it turns pear-shaped, who knows? And that's what I live with day to day.
Earlier this year, his claim for a severe injury benefit payment from the AFL Players Association was turned down. Despite his brain scans, he failed the injury criteria for compensation, which requires players to show their capacity to work has been reduced by 40% or more. He's currently part of a class action against the AFL involving former players who've suffered long-term injuries from concussion.
It's just like, well, yeah, you play the game, but and we put on a show for you guys, and nothing. So, pretty disappointing.
Geelong is now awaiting the findings of the AFL's review, which will decide whether one of the league's most successful clubs and the architects of that agreement will face consequences.
You live in the now, and you don't think much to do about the future, but the future is that you could pay the price later on.